Welcome back to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, giving you double the information and inspiration. If you're tuning in, you're listening to us on either iHeartRadio or TuneIn Radio, or maybe you're just streaming in live at WDRBmedia.com. We're a new day, and we're your hosts, Juicy J.
And Mr. Bay.
And right now we have the privilege of having Jorge Morales. Did I pronounce that name right?
Morales, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Okay. I took Spanish a couple of times, but I don't know how well I did. Here with Queen City Unity, so we're going to be talking about unity in the community.
Yes. And so, Jorge, now we've been knowing each other for the last, 2 years
2
now?
years, yeah.
Yeah, and so I want to tell how I kind of found out about Queen City Unity was right after the riots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I saw a Facebook post, and it just reached out to me in a way that, I don't know, I just felt inspired that somebody was actually in the community want to be a part of the change, because sometimes we can sit back and feel like we can't do nothing about it, what's going on. And so since the first meeting, when we first met, I was just, I don't know, I just felt good about what was going on here, and I've watched it grow, and we've been a part of it since the inception. But we not at every event, but we try to go out and show love every time we can. You know what I mean? And so I wanted to say that because so many people feel like when you dealing with volunteerism or you're working in the community, you got to give a lot,
Right.
and just show the power of a bunch of people coming together. So speaking of that, I just wanted you to talk about that, talk about your history and what made you and the rest of the members, come together to bring this thing about.
Yeah, sure. And actually, what's interesting is, so you were at the very first meet and greet. So it was the very first time. So
Wow.
right before the inception, or after the inception, rather. So, like, you were the first batch, and it was a good batch because, look, still representing Queen City Unity and still
Absolutely.
doing amazing things. And you guys are an amazing power couple, and we're just happy to have y'all as Unity ambassadors that represent what we represent. So it started. I mean, I'll tell you about myself. I have a history in business development and sales. That's my background. And I was in the private sector all the way until September 20th, 2016. Well, probably a little bit after that. But that day, was really the day where I felt like I truly became a Charlottean. I was on vacation about 5 hours south in South Carolina, and the people that my girlfriend Jensen and I were staying with, they were asking questions like, what's going on in Charlotte? And I'm like, that's great. Y'all need to come. Like, it's a beautiful city. If you guys come visit, you'll never leave. And they're like, no, turn around, look at CNN. What's that? And that was the civil unrest just unfolding before our eyes. And it just hurt. I felt this pain where I hadn't felt it before. And especially, for a city that I wasn't born in. But when I got back, I called a couple of friends, colleagues, and said, hey, let's do something. So we met on my couch for about 3 hours, and all we had at the end was a mission statement. And that mission being to drive equity and equality in the city of Charlotte for people of all races, religions, genders, and sexual orientations. And we looked at it and said, man, that's going to be tough. How are we going to do that? So we've kind of developed what we call our 4 pillars of unity, which are the 4 core initiatives. One of them is the Charlotte Forward program, which is a program that focuses on mentoring minority families through the process of upward mobility. So here in Charlotte, we ranked 50 out of 50 major cities when it comes to upward mobility and being able to escape poverty. And guess who's affected by it? Mostly minorities, right?
So-called minorities.
Right. Yeah, I use the term.
Story.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another
I know you're not
show.
a fan of the word. I use the word because, again, most people, they relate to that word.
Yes.
They've heard it before. But yeah, people of color, right, tend to have a harder path because they're not born into the same situation as others, right? So that's the Charlotte Forward program. The other program is the Equity program, which focuses on the youth between the ages of 11 to 18. And what we do is, and I don't know if you guys know this, but Charlotte actually ranked dead last and well, actually number 1 when it comes to the most segregated school system in the state of North Carolina.
Wow. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. And, I found out not too long ago, to be honest with you.
It makes sense, though.
It does.
It makes sense because, I will get into it, but I want you to share more about what's going on. But I've seen that because I've moved about the city of Charlotte, and it's amazing how you can go through one community and they got smart boards up on the classrooms, I mean, they don't want for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go across the street and there's a, you know, they don't even have toilet paper or paper, you know, for the kids or supplies. So it's kind of crazy, man. But,
well, it is, and what it does, it creates inequities within the school system that eventually follow these students throughout their entire life. So what the equity program does is we bring the youth of these schools that are not so diverse, right? Some of them are over 70% Caucasian, some of them are over 90%, you know, people of color, right? Whether it's Latinos or you know, African Americans, as some call, you know. I know you're not a fan of that word either, Acre.
Yeah, I want to do away with all the terms.
Yeah.
That's what I'm voting for. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
but you know, the bottom line is we grab these kids together for 12 weeks, and within that course, we're going through financial literacy. We're teaching them about equity and equality specifically for people of color. And then we also, but there's also Caucasian children within this group, right? And they do team building exercises. And after the 12 weeks, they go back to their schools where they attend and they start their own Queen City Unity Ambassador Clubs to continue to promote that message of inclusion, equity, and equality in those schools.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
so
beautiful.
Those are the two main initiatives. And of course, there's the Charlotte Unite Festival. It's happening right now.
Yes, yeah.
Right. We're going to be headed to that when we leave here, as a matter of fact. So,
Listen, anybody out there in the Charlotte area, come out, support. If you want to find us, we're on Facebook, Queen City Unity. We can definitely use some more ambassadors out there doing some good work in the community and having a voice, man. I think that's really important. You know, it's so funny you said you were out of town. You and Jensen was out of town that same weekend. We were in Asheville, and we were watching it on CNN up in the mountains.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking back, like, man, something got to change. You know what I mean? Something definitely got to change. You know, I'm from the city of Detroit. We had riots, and I know what happened after the riots back in the '60s in Detroit, where, you know, growing up in Detroit was a predominantly highly segregated school system also.
Right.
And I know that for a fact because I went to school in Detroit. I went to private schools. I went to public schools. So I got a chance to see how the school systems were in and out and around the city. And it's pretty much the same thing here. And so, you know, it's like, what do we do as a community to prepare ourselves so that we can, you know, heal from the things that have gotten us into these positions in life where we were basically born into poverty? How do we escape that? How do we, you know, get our piece of the pie, if you will, in this country and also in the globe? There's so much disparity, race issues going on. And, you know, it's like we got to be a part of ending that, you know, for our next generations moving forward, because it's so many things that we've been taught and positions that we've been placed in that was beyond our control, you know. So now I feel like this organization and the work that's being done here, and, you know, being a part of it too, we definitely feel like we are part of that change versus just sitting back on a couch, you know, complaining about what's going on.
Yeah, and you guys have been phenomenal. I will say, I mean, for us, we don't have all the answers as an organization. You know, that's why one of the cornerstones of our organization is partnerships, right? So, you know, some of the partners that we've really kind of bonded with are, you know, the NAACP of Charlotte Mecklenburg and so many others that we can't do it alone. You know, we need their support. They need our support. And if we're going to really drive systemic change for the future generations, like you were saying, Acre, it's going to take that collaborative effort to be able to do that. Queen City Unity can't do it alone. Other organizations can't do it alone. We all need to do it together.
Yes, you know, we always like to say collaboration over competition.
Yeah, I know.
She read
man.
my mind. You know, he's just like that. But yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. But, you know, we on the court with that. You know, definitely we live by that motto. You know, we just don't talk it, we walk it. You know, and that's the thing. Right now, I just feel like the more people become aware, socially aware of the things that's going on and what we can do to change it. We can talk forever about how we ended up in this situation, and we're gonna save that for another show. Actually, you're gonna have you come back. We got our brother Dennis Feeble. He's gonna be coming in. He actually did a TED talk about race, and so I want to definitely get into some. We're gonna talk a little history and figure out the mystery. You know what I mean? What we can do to move forward in a positive way.
Well, I think history is very important because a lot of people say history repeats itself, but in order to prevent history from repeating itself, you got to know what happened in the past. Right,
Absolutely.
exactly. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So we don't keep falling for the okie doke out there.
Yep.
So I think we got to pay some bills again and play some tunes. So everybody that's out there, thanks for tuning in.
After the break, we're going to continue our discussion on unity in the community. You're listening to WDRB Media, the voice of the community, giving you double the information and inspiration. Don't go anywhere because we're going to be right back.